Welcome to the Learning Lab. My name is Roman Garcia. We haven't done a video in a while. The reason is that I've been outside of the United States working on some projects. But the nature of the video today is the evolution of arthritis and how this happens more often than what we think, and how the medical infrastructure that exists in most countries is not prepared to prevent the evolution of arthritis in everyone, basically. So basically, all individuals are left up to themselves in how to combat arthritic changes in the joints. But I'm going to show you a classic example how these arthritic events occur in the human body and how they are allowed to evolve because of want of information on how to stop the progression of arthritis. And then after I show you this particular case, I'm going to show you some of those projects and the physical manifestations of what product resulted of my being outside of the United States and working with these engineers. I'm working on some of my ideas and bringing them to an actual physical device. But first, I'm going to show you a classic example of how arthritis evolves practically underneath our noses. So Carlos, we come over here. This is a classic example right here. Now, this patient we saw at the terminal end of the arthritic event. Now, she had some old x-rays that she brought with her, and I'm going to show you the evolution of arthritis via the x-ray. This is, she also brought this. This x-ray was fairly recent. This is the right knee, this is the left knee. Obviously, you can see that there's quite a bit of degenerative changes in these knees. Now, the right one is more involved than the left one on x-rays, and if my memory serves me correct, on clinical examination it did show that the right knee was more involved than the left. This x-ray is less than 6 months old. Now, she showed us also, she brought with her all her reports. We were lucky that this patient kept all her reports. Now, this x-ray was done in 1980. This is of the right knee. Her left knee back in 1980 was not bothering her. So obviously when she went to the doctor in 1980, they just did the x-ray of the right knee. The left knee was not bothering her. So we can assume that the left knee would have looked on an x-ray relatively normal. But this is in 1980. It probably was bothering her just a little bit. So she went to the doctor. The doctor took an x-ray, saw the x-ray, saw that there was some arthritic changes in the knee, and just like any other doctor would have, there was very little that doctor can do. Back in 1980, and still the same today, there's nothing a doctor would be able to help a patient if they appear in their facility with these types of changes, because in a doctor's mind, they're thinking in terms of, well, there's not that much arthritis. They'll just probably give her some pain medication, anti-inflammatory, and just keep your fingers crossed that the pain goes away, and then that's it. The doctor is done with this particular patient. There's nothing that can be done at this stage. At least the current medical infrastructure, the current medical system as it exists, there is nothing for this patient right here to be done. Maybe send it to physical therapy for a month. Really nothing. Nothing that really would improve the status of this condition. So in 1980, this is how the right knee looked. In 2019, this is how the knee looks now. You can see that changes are drastic, and this is because of disregard of the medical facility from 1980 to 2019. Obviously, this case is a lot harder to deal with than it would be to deal with this case. Under these circumstances right here, a program can be established on this patient, given to this patient, where there'll be tissue changes over here. This is much more dire condition right over here. Right knee, left knee. You can see the difference between 2019 and 2018. Now, this is a classic example of something that probably has happened millions of times and is currently happening. The medical infrastructure, the medical system as it exists, no matter under what political ideology, whether it be communism, socialism, or capitalistic democratic government, the medical system just does not exist to help a case such as this, or to help a person who's just in the beginning of an arthritic condition. So in essence, this is what's happening. This is a spectrum. This is an involvement spectrum. This case in 1980, when the first x-rays were taken, represents the first signs of the knee condition. She went to the doctor. The doctor saw the x-rays. They weren't that bad. So he does what he's been trained to do. Prescribed anti-inflammatories, pain medication. If there's insurance capabilities, they'll probably send them to physical therapy. Physical therapists will work with them for 4 weeks, discharge them, and then the patient is completely by themselves. That does not stop the degenerative condition. So the degenerative condition continues to advance in this direction right over here. So finally it gets to the pictures that you just saw in 2019, where it's basically a very degenerative joint with substantial structural changes. That knee would probably, under traditional medical intervention, would require a joint replacement. So in essence, again, no matter under what system the medical infrastructure is operating on, the medical system is designed to operate at 2 points of the degenerative evolution. At the beginning, at the first signs, where you'll get meds, most likely, or at the end over here. I call it total entropy, where the only thing would be a total knee replacement. This space right over here is devoid of medical intervention. There's no medical intervention here. And this is the gap that I operate on, is at this level right here of the spectrum, from the beginning to the end. At this point right here is where changes in your behavior, application of certain protocols will change the status of the tissues at this point right here. But you need information, and you need some pieces of equipment. We'll go and we'll talk about each piece, and we have done it in the past as we go on with this video. But today I just want to emphasize just some of these devices that I have been working on recently. Okay, I'm going to show you quickly, briefly, some of the devices, but I'm going to emphasize just one of them today. And then in later videos, I'll emphasize the others. But in order to operate and to change, you need to implement a strategy at this level right here, between the first signs and the last signs. Now, again, we've talked about introducing energy into tissues. We talked about modifying weight-bearing loads. Recently, we've changed the braces that we use to manipulate knocking or bowing of the knees. We used to use the DonJoy brace. Now the problem with the DonJoy brace is that every subsequent generation of DonJoy brace, these systems have gotten, the manufacturing, the quality has degraded substantially to the point that we don't use it anymore, because they just do not tolerate the stresses the patients expose the braces to. The Velcro is very weak. The rubber, the silicone webbing breaks. It's really a disaster what DonJoy has done with this system. So what we've been using now is the Ovation system. I'll go further into this system in another video. But this Ovation system, you can see, is much more sturdier. And one of the greatest advantages of this Ovation system is that it comes just in one size. One size fits all. And one brace on the right will work for varus, knocking, or for bowing. For bowing varus or knocking varus. But I'll go into this Ovation system in another video. Now, one of the other systems that we've been working on is I went and I worked with an engineer outside of the United States. And we worked together because I wanted a particular energy delivery system that introduces a very narrow collated beam into the tissues. So we developed this system right here. This is a class 4 laser system. It normally goes for $20,000 out there in the marketplace. But since I've been working with this engineer and it's a generic product of my design, we've been able to reduce the price. I'm just going to show you how tight the energy system is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it on so you can see it. We use this in order to deliver energy into the tissues. And it's in such a tight laser beam that you're able to expose the cells to this particular wavelength. Now, I'm going to show it to you. Very easy to operate. Now, as you can see, this is delivering photons in a very tight beam. This we use for our musculoskeletal patients. Is very effective because you're introducing billions and trillions of photons in a very narrow beam. And we don't have to use heavy wattages. This is 750 microwatts, which was a specification which I was adamant about. It produces no heat, so there is no danger of burning tissue. Yet, you're introducing the joint to a tremendous amount of energy because of its tight, collated beam, which is the specification that I demanded and I couldn't find in any system out there. This system is substantially less expensive than any other systems out there in the marketplace. But again, I'll talk about this for more. I'll talk about this more later on, and I'll show you on my assistant how to use it. It's very safe to use. But we use it in all our patients, and it's a way of introducing energy into a tissue in a very tight laser beam. These are the types of systems that you need to use at this level right over here and throughout this evolution right over here, because you don't want your joint to evolve into this total entropy stage right over here of the spectrum, where any intervention will produce results, but you'll probably never get the tissues back to a normal state. Whereas at any point along this spectrum, if you introduce the right protocols, you will be able to reestablish a normal pliable tissue. Now, what I want to show you today is the other system that was designed by myself and an orthopedic surgeon by the name of Dr. Birnbaum. We both collaborated on this system. Dr. Birnbaum developed the handle, and Dr. Birnbaum developed the lower portion of the cane. I worked on developing the middle shaft of the cane. Now, what I'm going to do is, before I go into the specifics of the cane, I'm going to have my assistant, Anna, walk with this cane, with this system, and with the standard canes as they have existed since the days of Moses. Now, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to have Anna walk down the hall. I'm going to have her walk with each system, okay? And so you can see how a human being walks with a particular system alongside their bodies. Now, Ana, camina normal con él. Now you can see this system. I mean, this is a traditional cane. They come in different versions. I mean, this is 4 leg. Una vez más lo hace. This one comes, and this is more of a traditional one. It comes with 4 little prongs, 4 legs. It's supposed to add stability to the walking. A lot of older folks use this. In my opinion, it's kind of clumsy. It has a very heavy end on the bottom, and one of the problems with this cane is that it can only be used on the side where the legs on the outside are towards the outside. Because if she would shift the cane to this side over here, her foot would hit this right here. It's very dangerous. So this is basically a unilateral design, which is a big disadvantage. Furthermore, this cane is not very stable, even though it has 4 legs, because the legs and the weight-bearing load of the shaft is not centered. So it's a very dangerous cane. It's very unstable. Does not provide much stability at all. On top of the fact that it's very heavy on the bottom and light on the top. Otra vez, camina. And again, it doesn't roll. It's very flat-footed. Una vez más. You're very flat. Obviously, Ana doesn't have any disabilities, so she can manipulate that cane well. But if you're an individual that has 1 good leg, 1 bad leg, it's very difficult to walk with that, and it's dangerous. You can fall. It's very unstable. And you can see it. Even Ana, who's not involved, she's cautious with this thing. This is a disaster. But yet a lot of folks use this because there's nothing else. There never was anything else. Now, this is the standard cane. It's a single rod shaft, very stiff. Now try it again. Otra vez. Again, this is your typical walking cane. It's a single shaft, very hard, stiff. It doesn't adapt to the weight-bearing loads. It's not very stable because it's basically just a knob on the bottom. I mean, it's better than that quad cane right over there, but still, this is what promoted. This was the impetus for us, for Dr. Elbaum, Dr. Birnbaum, and myself to produce the best cane that exists to this day. Yeah, to the end. Alrighty, ahora mírate. Now she's going to use the ergo cane. Now she's going to use the ergo cane. And then I'm going to go into the functionalities of this cane and the properties that it has. Now, as you can see, now again, the gait is smooth. Again, there's nothing wrong with Ana. Ana has good legs. So she's taking advantage of its properties, but Ana is a normal individual. Okay? Now, I don't know if you can appreciate, but in a little while I'm going to show you what the functional properties of this cane is and why it's superior. Now, this is the first time that Ana uses this cane. She just got it in her hands. ¿Qué sistema tú crees? ¿Cuál es mejor?
This one is better.
¿Por qué?
It's more suave, more round. Redondo.
She says that the cane this is better. She says it feels softer in her hands, which is that is a appropriate description of the system, because we designed it with the intent of it becoming literally part of the human body. Trátalo otra vez. Camino otra vez. That was Dr. Birnbaum's idea. It was to create a cane that's part of the human body, that functions as a human leg. And I'll show you in a little while why, all the different pieces of it. But that was the idea, is to make it soft, to make it almost an extension of a leg. Now, Está para aquí. Otra vez. No, para aquí. ¿Cuál te gusta más otra vez? ¿Y por qué? ¿Qué es lo que
More
tiene?
comfortable.
She says it's more comfortable, which again, that was one of the ideas. Because if something becomes an extension of the human body, extension of yourself, it does become more comfortable. The other canes, the more traditional canes, they tend to be very awkward. They're very rigid. The human body is not a rigid structure. It's a body, it's a system that adapts to weight-bearing load. Now, the interesting thing, this is how Dr. Birnbaum envisioned this cane. Now, the upper part is basically acts as a hip. It acts as a pendulum because it's perfectly weighted. That was the idea of this handle. It's an ergonomic handle, and it's designed as a pendulum. That was the idea. So when you move forward, the cane literally moves by itself, forward and back, just like a hip. A ver, Lisa, mueve, no estás aquí, mueve el pie para adelante y para atrás, para adelante y para atrás. Hazlo así, sigue así. This is basically what the top does, the top handle, because of its design. Para. That's basically what it does. It acts as a pendulum. That was the design. Again, it simulates the hip. The middle part is designed to function as a knee. Carlos, can you focus in on this? Mm-hmm. It functions as a knee. You see, it absorbs energy, releases energy. Absorbs energy, releases energy. It's kind of like a shock absorber. And that's in essence, that's what the human knee is. It's a shock absorbing mechanism. It bends, it straightens. Ven aquí, dobla la rodilla. No, está así, dobla, avanza, para atrás. That's basically what it does. It absorbs energy, releases energy. Absorbs energy, releases energy. That's what the middle portion does. It absorbs and releases energy. The bottom part, Dr. Birnbaum envisioned it to operate or function as the ankle. Now, the ankle, now this mechanism right here, this actually, you think that it's moving in one plane, but in reality what it's doing is it's rotating. Mm-hmm. It rotates. That's how the ankle works. It's a rotating mechanism. And it rolls. And in essence, that's what this bottom part does. It rolls because the bottom part actually, it's a swivel. It moves. It rolls. You see, it does this. It rolls. So in essence, the bottom portion of this ergo cane actually acts as an ankle. So in essence, in this system right here, you're getting a complete functional leg. It actually reduces about 20 pounds of weight-bearing load off the human body. So when you walk the cane, as the person uses his cane, the cane is actually absorbing energy and releasing energy. And it takes weight-bearing load off the injured leg, allowing a good environment, a proper environment for healing to occur. On top of the fact that it provides stability, you're actually bringing a third leg into the walking equation. So for older folks, even for individuals who don't really have leg pains or knee pains or hip pains or ankle pains, it actually serves as a safety mechanism. It allows them to walk on uneven terrain with substantial greater efficiency and safety. You don't expect that, you're not expending as much energy because the cane absorbs energy and releases energy. So every single step and every single heel off, the cane is actually absorbing and releasing the energy back to the individual. Alrighty, and start right here. Now, this cane will be available shortly for anybody that's interested in purchasing it, giving it to a grandmother, giving it to a grandfather. It's the only cane that exists of this type. Dr. Birnbaum put a lot of effort in this system. And it is a new paradigm of cane design. Nothing else exists like it. So anybody that's interested in any of the products that we have, you have any questions for us, you want to contact me, feel free to give us a call. We're always here for you. And again, until next time, thank you for watching this video.